Picture this, you walk into a room buzzing with strangers, right? The noise, the chatter, the laughter, all of that hits you like a physical wave. Your heart starts to race and your palm get slick. And the only instinct that comes to your head is to find the nearest corner, take out your phone and even pretend as if you're doing something pretty important in your phone, right? And you tell yourself for a moment that I'll just wait here a minute, just until you feel more comfortable. But 1 minute turns into 5, then 10. And before you realize it, you have spent the entire event becoming one with the wallpaper, another opportunity for connection, totally lost, right? But what if we could change all that feeling? What if we could turn that wave of anxiety, genuine current of curiosity? What if you could just walk into a room and not look for a place to hide, but ready to connect authentically, perhaps in your own terms, right? And I think that isn't a fantasy. And before this year end, I think I want to share with you that skill, and I want to share with you the 7 habits that will turn you from just a networking novice to a networking ninja. And this episode isn't going to be about faking it or becoming someone that you're not. It's about actually tapping into the hidden strength of your quieter nature. So let's be real. For a lot of us out there, the word networking itself is just a fancy synonym for awkward. It sometimes conjures up the image of forced smiles, cringy small talk about the weather, and the frantically swapping of business cards with people whose name you'll probably forget in the next 5 seconds. And I've heard that people say it's a numbers game, that you have to work the room and the success means being the loudest person there. Well, I think that's a myth, and it's a myth that has held shy and introverted people at bay. My truth is, networking isn't just about being an extrovert. It's about building genuine relationship. And as a quieter person, I believe that we already have the most powerful tool to just do that. And you are a great listener, you are an observant, and you probably value deep, meaningful connections. Now, this episode isn't about changing who you are. It's just about learning to use your natural gifts, to use your natural gifts somehow in a strategic manner. Habit number 1, prepare like a pro. This is like the pre-game plan. This is somehow before the game itself. Now, the number 1 enemy, I believe, of a shy person at a networking event, right, is that great unknown, the darkness, right? Walking into chaos with no plan is just like trying to navigate a new city without a map. And that itself is stressful, right? The first habit of a networking ninja is to actually get rid of as many unknowns as possible by preparing. This isn't just about scripting your night. It's about building a foundation of confidence before you even leave your house. And this particular habit involves, it helps you to solve the aimless, overwhelmed feeling. When you have a plan, I believe that you have a purpose, which is the perfect antidote for anxiety. Now, start by setting a small, totally achievable goal. Forget the pressure that you'll meet everyone. Your goal should be as simple as, today when I go to that event, I'll just focus on one person, just one meaningful conversation, or I'll introduce myself to two new people. And that's it. By setting this realistic goal or this realistic target, when you hit it, you'll become more encouraged. It also gives you permission to leave the event once you're done, which could be a huge relief to you. Now, the next thing within this habit is to do a little recon. If there is an attendee or a speaker, someone is going to speak on the event, I think it's a good way that you spend some few minutes or some few time, right, to get to know this person. Like you could say, I'm curious, I want to know about you. I know that you are going to this event, and I'm particularly curious because, if it's an event, then they will definitely give a bio of that person. And then just try to prepare a few ended conversation starters, because the fear of not knowing what to say can be paralyzing. Now, have a few questions ready. When you have a few questions ready, right, it's going to be a key to unlock any conversation. But ditch that aspect of you asking, what do you do? What brought you out this event? I believe that good questions could be what's one project that you're really excited about now, right? What did you think of the keynote speaker? Or how do you know that person? Or how, and like that. So, and just try to focus on the other person, but do your best to listen. Do your best to listen to the other person. Now, the second habit is what I could call it the wing person strategy. The wing person, that is the person beside someone flying like a thing, right? Now the wing person is just the aspect that don't fly solo. Now, when you walk into a room where everyone already seems to be locked in a conversation, can actually be intimidating. Now, you have left, you are the only one that will be left standing alone, and you're feeling like you are on the outside of a party you were invited to, right? And this is where a second habit of networking could be important. This is where like the second habit of today's essence of saying a networking ninja comes in, where you use a wing person. Now, this strategy is somehow a direct solution to approach anxiety. Now, you could try to like bring a friend, right, or a trusted colleague, someone that you're already used to, and that person could be a little bit more outgoing compared to you, and this could completely change the game. They will act like the social bridge. They will act like the social bridge. He or she will be making introductions very smooth, and they will be pulling you into conversation. And you know, those conversations that you might just be nervous to start on your own. Like me, I have that one guy, that Jerry. Whenever you're in any event, Jerry knows how to hit the event, to start the conversation. But this isn't about hiding behind your friend all night. The trick here is to have a little huddle before the event. Now, let your wing person know your goal. Say something like, bro, my goal tonight is just to meet 2 new people in marketing. If you see an opening, then be sure to, pass me. Yeah, I could say like pass me. That's how we like to say. But yeah, be sure to introduce me. Could you help me introduce my Lord? Anyways, now this particular friend, it's like you're giving him a specific mission, and it makes him your ally. A great wing person can also talk you up. When they introduce you, they can mention a cool project you worked on or a skill you have, which could sound so much more natural than you saying it yourself, like you hyping yourself. And if you cannot bring a person right now, then it isn't a problem. You should just find a day of wing person. Now look for someone else who is standing alone. In that same event, you just look for someone else who is standing event, maybe by the food table or looking at their phone. If you're like that, then chances there's probably someone who is like that, and they just feel as awkward as you do, and they will be relieved that you made the first move. Now you can go up to them with a simple empathetic opener like, these big events, bro, they can be a little too much, right? Anyways, I'm Emmanuel, and now when you introduce yourself like this, I think you have instantly created a bond over a shared feeling, right? Because all of you are like feeling the awkward, everything. Now from there, you can even team up to navigate the event together. You could be talking about things happening within the events, and it can just turn that moment. It can just become that. It can just turn that moment of vulnerability, shared vulnerability, where we get we change it into a position of strength. And the third habit, this brings me to actually the third habit. It's the listener's superpower. I think I mentioned it before in the first point. Is like try to lead with curiosity, not your resume. Now I know that so many of us, especially when we are nervous, we begin to think networking is about delivering the perfect elevator pitch. Now, elevator pitch is just a short thing that you could use to sell your company within the time that an elevator goes from one floor to the other. Anyways, why am I explaining about elevator pitch? But now we try to rehearse that what we are going to say. We try to sound impressive and put all the pressure on ourselves to perform. And I think that's a trap. The third habit of a networking ninja is to flip the script entirely. Stop trying to be interesting and start being interested. Stop trying to be interesting and just be interested on others. Now, this actually will solve the pain point of feeling like a fraud or like a salesperson, and it somehow shifts the goal from self-promotion to a genuine connection. Now, as a quieter person, your natural tendency to listen deeply isn't a weakness. It's you. It's your way. It's your superpower. It's your networking superpower. Because extrovert might command attention by talking, right? But I believe that you can build a much stronger connection by just listening to people more. Now, people love to talk about themselves, and more importantly, they love to feel heard. Now, when you give someone your undivided attention, you make them feel like they are valued, which is, I think, way more memorable than like a pitch, than just you doing a slick pitch. So how do you actually do this? Now, what you could do after you ask one of your friends to, or after you ask one of your open-ended questions, your only job is to now actually listen to the answer. When you ask like, what is the most interesting project that you're working on right now? Try to listen to the answer. Don't spend your time mentally planning your next sentence. Instead, just listen for keywords, for sparks of passion, for anything that you're genuinely curious about. Then your follow-up questions will become more natural. Now, if that person mentioned a tough project, right? You can ask, you could say something like, that sounds intense. What is the biggest hurdle that you have been fighting, that you have had to overcome through that project? And if they talk about something like a recent trip they had to another country or another city, you could just ask like, what was the most unexpected part of that experience? Because you never know what type of a person you have met in that event. And this active listening technique does two things. First, it takes all the pressure off you carrying to carry the conversation, right? And you become like just a a conversation guide. You become like a guide. Now, the second thing is it leads to much deeper, more interesting discussion. Suddenly, you're talking about shared values and challenges, which is where I believe this is where real relationships get their start. Now, remember that people might forget your name or what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel when they first met you. When like, oh, that guy was so nice. He was so attentive. He was so like, that's the drill. Hey, pause for a minute. Please, I know that many of you are watching this from somewhere, probably Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcast. You're watching or listening and all that, but I know that you haven't subscribed yet. You haven't even followed. Come on, 365 days of the year, you haven't even commented on this video. So what I'm asking is that in this few seconds, could you just click that subscribe button, just click that follow button, or just comment on this. If you know that you've been enjoying the SelfSeed podcast, be sure to share this podcast with someone. So yep, let's get into it. Let's become ninjas with these 7 habits that you can practice to become a networking ninja in these few days of the year remaining, because I know there's going to be a lot of events and probably you'll be in one of them, and I don't want you to end the year same way that you started the year. But yeah, by God's grace, let's get into it. Now, habit number 4 is like what we could call the small pond strategy. And this is not just like in the essence of small pond strategy is just like a sea and a pond, like just seek quality and not quantity. When you have these huge noisy crowds, it can become like a sensory overload for shy and introverted people. Now, the 4th habit here of a networking ninja is to just try and ditch the more is better and focus on quality over quantity, as I said, like the small pond strategy as it is called. So what you do is you stick to the small ponds, not the overwhelming sea, not the overwhelming ocean. Just stick to the smaller ponds, smaller groups or something like that. Now, this habit, it directly tackles social burnout. Your energy is a finite resource. Your energy is like finite, especially in social settings. If that's not you, bro, or my dear that you're listening, at least it is for me. So instead of draining it on dozens of forgettable interactions, invest in a few high quality conversations. Like one strong, authentic connection I think is worth more than 100 business cards that you'll never use, correct? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. So to do this, what you need to do is look for smaller, more manageable groups within the larger event. So instead of jumping from one place to another like a kangaroo, is it? Anyway, instead of jumping into the loud cycle that is in the middle of the room, let's say, scan the periphery, like surrounding areas, and look for 1 or 2 people that are talking quietly or someone who seems approachable. Now, these smaller setups are the places where introverts have their natural habitat. It's far easier to join a conversation with two people than to break into a tight-knit cycle of 6. And an important thing for you to achieve this is arriving early. This can be a game changer. Now, the room is quieter and less crowded when you come early, making it easier to start those one-on-one chats before the big groups come or before the master extroverts enter the arena. So once you're in a conversation, try to give yourself permission to just stay there in that conversation. Don't feel like you need to be constantly looking for your next target. Be present in that moment. If your goal was to meet 2 people and maybe you have had amazing 20-minute conversation with just the first person you meet, that's a massive win. You don't have to like rush it off. And because the goal again isn't to collect contacts, it's about making connections that will last, and that takes us to the habit number 5. Habit number 5 is the authenticity anchor. Now, this simply means try your best to talk about the things that you love. Talk about the things that you love, because let's be honest, the absolute worst part of networking is the small talk. Now, you're talking about the weather, you're talking about traffic, and sometimes it just feels like pointless and could feel draining because there's no real emotion attached to all of that, right? But it feels like, and it actually feels like you're playing a part in just a script. You're a part of a script. Now, the 5th habit here is to just find, this 5th habit is where we say you find an authenticity anchor, a topic that you are genuinely passionate about, or a thing that you are really passionate about, and use it to, steer conversation away from the superficial things that happen in today's world. People be talking about things that they're not even interested about. Just, so, how is the weather today? It's nice, huh? What do you think about? Now this simple trick solves the pain point of feeling fake. When you talk about something you actually care about, your whole vibe changes, your voice gets more energetic, your eyes light up, and your enthusiasm just becomes contagious to those who are around you. It's also somehow a killer way to be memorable in an event, because you stop performing and you start actually connecting. People might not remember another marketing manager, but they will surely remember the person whose face lit up when they talked about learning a code, learning how to code to vibe code something, or to code a video game, or volunteer at a community event or something like that. So this shouldn't be like a random thing. You shouldn't be random, but look for a pivot point. Like when someone asks you what you do, you give your title and then connect it to your passion, right? Something like data analytics, right? I'm not saying that's a bad job, but I'm just saying data analytics. But what I'm really fired about is lately is about podcasting, especially in the aspect of like opportunities, entrepreneurship, and all that. And it's teaching me a ton of skills like discipline, content creation, and all that. Now this opens up a completely new and more interesting path for the conversation. Another way to anchor in authenticity is actually with genuine compliments, but I think you need to make them somehow specific, correct? Now you look for something that you can honestly appreciate from the next person. It could be like an insightful question that they had asked a speaker, or they had asked a person in the group, or something like that, a unique pin on their jacket, or even the point they made earlier. Now a compliment, like something like along the lines of like, I was really impressed with the questions that you asked about AI ethics, or the questions that you ask about how to scale your business. That's something I've been thinking about a lot personally, and I think something like this, a phrase like this, I think is a fantastic opener, and it's because it's sincere. It shows that you were paying attention, and it somehow immediately establishes a common ground on the topic with the digital bridge. Now you have to master online networking before the offline networking. For many people, the real-time pressure of a face-to-face interaction is like the biggest obstacle, right? Now, the great news is that networking isn't just about it's actually not confined to just some physical venue, physical rooms or something like that. Nowadays you have online spaces, right? So it means you need to begin to, that's where we say the sixth habit is to build digital bridges, whereby you use online platform to start and nurture connections at your own pace in a much more low pressure environment. Now, I'm saying this, I think this is a perfect solution for high stakes in-person anxiety, because You have platforms like LinkedIn and industry specific communication groups, online groups that can let you can let you become like share your thoughts, become more thoughtful with your communication, and you have time to craft a message, to do a little research, and even engage without the pressure of that comes with a live conversation. Now, I think a key strategy here is to always warm up your contacts before an event. If you know who's going to a certain event that you're going to go, like maybe on 27, we have this thing they call it snow stuff prepared by one of my partners, and I want to go. So what if you know someone else who's going there? I think you could send like a personalized connection request on LinkedIn beforehand. I mean, here we use much of WeChat or WhatsApp, whatever that you use. Anyway, but I think the key thing to remember is that don't use the generic template. Like just write your note like, hi Shama, hi who, like whoever the person is. I see we are both going to the marketing summit next week, and I was really interested in your work on, you mentioned the specific project, and I hope that we can connect there. And I think, voila, you have just turned a cold approach into a warm follow-up. Now, when you see them at the event, you can say, oh, it's so nice to meet you in person. And the conversation is already rolling, right? Now, the digital bridge is just, it's also somehow your best friend for the follow-up, which is where real relationships are built up. Because then after you meet the person after you meet the person in person, is that the right word to say? But after you meet someone in person, right? You send a message within 24 hours, after the event, right? After 24 hours, then you send a message, within 24 hours. And again, you make it personal, like reference something that you guys talked about. For instance, it was great chatting with you last night about your podcasting journey. I actually checked out the latest episode this morning, and I think, bro, you're doing a good job. I really enjoyed it. And this means this will prove that you were listening, and it makes the connection solidified, concrete. Hey. Anyways, now finally, you can get active in online community. You join discussions on LinkedIn groups or industry forum, and you answer questions, you share helpful articles, and you just contribute value to your people, to your cycle. And when you do this constantly, you'll continue to build a reputation as a knowledgeable, helpful person. People will start to recognize your name, and you'll build relationships, and eventually you're building relationships from the comfort of your own keyboard. Like, it's happening naturally, organically. And this brings us to the last point. But before we go, I hope you have subscribed. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And if you have enjoyed, be sure to share it with someone who you're going to an event with recently, even if it's your family yearly gathering. Be sure to share with them. Now, the last habit is the energy audit. Now, for introverts, social energy is like a phone battery. You start at 100, and every single interaction, it drains you out little by little. And now, when you try to socialize when you're on 1% battery, it can just lead to like burnout, irritability, and even that checked out feeling. Now, the final point today, the final habit today, and probably the most important, I guess, habit of a networking ninja is that become a master of your own energy. Become a master of your own energy. This is all about solving the brutal pain point of social exhaustion. You have to recognize that needing to recharge isn't a character flaw, it's a biological need. And this happens to me so much. Sometimes I'm just like, I just want to go home. Give yourself permission to take a break, because that isn't a weakness, it's a strategy. The most practical way to do this is to schedule some recharge breaks, like during an event. Nobody can be like on for, I don't know, but I'm just saying that nobody can be on for 3 hours straight. So you have to plan to take a 5-minute break every hour or so. You can use just a simple excuse like, it was great talking to you, Now, if you'll excuse me a little bit, I'm just going to grab a glass of water and then actually step away from the conversation, go to the restroom, find a quiet corner, or step outside to breathe fresh air. This little reset for your nervous system allows you to return feeling refreshed instead of frazzled. Now, part of energy management is also knowing your line, your limit, and have an exit strategy. I think this is just my thought that it is perfectly fine to not be the last person to leave in an event. Not the way that I'm like how we used to joke about, like, after eating, that's when you begin to think leaving. But yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine to not be the last person to leave. If you have hit like your goal for the night and your battery is blinking red, I think it's okay to give yourself permission to go home. And this sort of graceful exit is way better than sticking around and being miserable. You can just say, I've had a great time, I've had fun today, but I have an early start tomorrow. So hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you around, talk to you. Thank you for your time, something like that. Because when you manage your energy, you stay in control. You stop burnout before it starts, and you ensure that the interactions that you have at that particular point, they actually are high quality. This is the secret of making or creating a networking habit sustainable and maybe even enjoyable, that it becomes a normal part of your life, a simple, easy part of your life. Let's recap the 7 habits I've just introduced. 1, prepare like a pro. 2, use a wing person. 3, lead with curiosity. 4, seek quality, not quantity, bro. And 5, anchor in authenticity. 6, my dear self-seeder, is build digital bridges. And 7, conduct an energy audit. An energy audit. Now, do you notice the theme here today? It's not a single one of these habits that requires you to be loud or salesy. They are just all about strategy, preparation, and using every trait that you have that make you who you are, your thoughtfulness, your listening skills, and your desire for real connection. It is using all of these qualities. You just don't have to change your personality to build a powerful network. What I believe is you just have to change your playbook. Just have to change your playbook. Now, I have tried this myself, so I believe in your journey, like your journey could also start with only a single step. And just what I want you to do is pick one of these habits to try at your next event that's coming probably soon or something like that. Maybe you're going for a family union and sometimes you get exhausted. Maybe it's just, it could be something like setting a small goal, right? Maybe it's just preparing one great question. The goal for this episode was not to force you to have perfection, but rather to have a certain amount of progress. So, that is me after talking so long. Thank you for listening to this point. And if you've got something out of this long rant, please hit that subscribe button. You see that one? Start by hitting that like button and then the subscribe or follow button for more tips on how to thrive in a loud world. And now, a question for you. Which of these habits hit home the most? Or what's your single biggest networking challenge? Just drop it in the comments below and let's try to share our strategies and support each other. Thanks for watching. And remember that as 2025 ends, your quiet nature isn't a bug, it's a feature. By God's grace, see you in the next episode as we conclude this year. Bye.